Well, good evening, family. Hope you guys are having a wonderful, blessed evening, because Grammie is having a wonderful, blessed evening. Today, I am doing a collaboration with two wonderful channels, Pam's Cutting Board and Southern Tennessee Mom. Their links will be down in my description, and our theme is, of course, St. Patties Day. So, I think I've told you guys before that I had a grandmother, and she was raised by her Irish grandparents. And his name was William McDonald Kilgo, and my grandmother's name, my great-great-grandmother's name was Annie Eliza, and they were Irish descent, and he had bright red hair, and he rode a bulldozer and smoked a cigar, and had an English bulldog. I forget what the English bulldog's name was that rode with him on there, and for what I understand, he was a character. So he raised my grandmother. I think he raised like 7 or 8 children of his own, and then he ended up raising 2 of his grandchildren, my grandmother and her cousin Freddie, who were the same age. They were just a few months apart, and he raised them too. They were the last kids in the house. So we're going to make something that my grandmother used to make, and her grandmother used to make it all the time, and my grandmother would just get a hankering for it. I guess she would get to thinking about her grandmother. This dish kind of is the same way for me when I cook it. It reminds me of something that my grandmother would cook for us quite often. And she would always tell stories about when she was little, and it brought in a lot of memories. So I thought it would be the wonderful thing to share for St. Patrick's Day and kind of honor that Irish heritage of mine. So let me gather all my ingredients, and I will be right back with you. What I cut up was 2 large Idaho potatoes. I left the skin on. Now, my grandmother would have done russet potatoes. She would have peeled them, and because she loved a red potato. But I'm going to tell you, Yukon Golds would have been delicious in this. They would have been buttery, just what you need. But I'm using what I've got, and she wouldn't have had the skins on them. She would have took those skins off. But you know what? I like them. So we're going to leave them on there. So I've got me a... Let's go ahead and let me put you down here so you can see what I'm cooking. Oh, almost forgot something. Well, before we start cooking, I thought I would show you the hats that we used for Jackson's little birthday party that we had. He is a March baby, and here's the funny thing. He came over here and he wanted to go to school and wear his brand new Terminator sunglasses and his St. Patrick's hat to school. And as soon as he got out of the car, the wind blew his hat clean off his head, and him and the teacher had to chase it down. It was a good laugh. They finally got his hat, held it on his head, and got him inside the door. It's a cute little thing. Well, anyway, I just wanted to show you these hats. I thought they were cute. They were like 71 cents at our local store, and I thought, perfect thing to have to show off and be in the St. Patrick's Day spirit. All right, I'm going to put you guys down and let you see this stove. I'm going to put you guys down and let you see this pan. We're just using a regular saucepan. And I forgot to mention that I cut up 1 medium onion in there. Now, you can make this for as many people as you need it for. Grandpa Harold's not really crazy about this. Like I said, this is a dish that was cooked for me as a child and not for him. He's more German than he is Irish, and so he was not raised on this. This can also be changed and used. You can use half a head of cabbage instead of the potatoes. So it can be corned beef and cabbage or corned beef and potatoes. It's pretty flexible. And I should be cooking it with cabbage, but I wanted to do my grandmother's favorite dish tonight because, I don't know, she's been on my mind a lot. You know, sometimes you just get the ones who were special for you. And I think I've said this before, that you always have that one person in your life that's just it as a childhood memory. And some people have more than one. My mama was, of course, very well loved, and my little daddy, and I had aunts that I loved. But my grandma was that person for me. She loved me no matter what. no matter what the situation is, no matter what I did, if I was ugly, if I slapped one of my cousins, she loved me. So we're going to put about a tablespoon of salt in there because these potatoes are going to need it. Now you can use Mrs. Dash. You can use whatever you want to if you're into salt substitutes. We're also going to add about a teaspoon and a half maybe of pepper. I'm also going to add a good amount of garlic powder. Now I would use fresh garlic in this if I had some, but I do not have any at the time. So let's get this butter started up. And this is real butter. This isn't margarine. Sometimes I have margarine if I can't find real butter. So what we're going to do now, we've got all of our good seasonings in there. We're going to go ahead and add these potatoes and onions. They've been rinsed and drained in there. And we're going to let them saute for just a little bit. Just for a little bit. I just like to let that butter flavor get all over those potatoes because this is going to boil. And you might see some of my potatoes had a little eye or two in them. And I don't care. It's not that big of a deal. So now we're going to add 4 cups of milk to this. Just enough to kind of cover those potatoes up. Now, when my grandma made this, she made it in a great big giant pot. She used a whole bag of potatoes, and she used 3 or 4 cans of the corned beef because we're going to be using the canned corned beef. But you can use the fresh corned beef that comes in the packs. It's just it was cheaper to feed a family on the canned ones, and you got the same flavor. So we're going to put that in there. We're going to put a lid on it. We're going to turn it down to my gas stove, probably about 4 or 3. And just let it simmer probably. And then we're going to come back and add the corned beef to it. So I will be right back when this is ready and pork tender. I'll be back. You're going to want to make sure that you cook this on low because you do have milk as your base, so you want to make sure you don't scorch your milk. So, like, I had to keep mine about 3. You want it to come to a good boil, but a slow boil. It doesn't have to be a roaring boil. It takes a little time to cook this. You can do this in the Instapot. But I would wait and add the cream after. I'd add heavy cream to it and use water. But you can do it in an Instapot. It'll probably go a little faster. But the good things take time. The good things take time. And so I'm going to go ahead and get my can of corned beef opened. And it's this old kind right here that's got the key. So you got to get the key off of it and put the key on there. The key put on there like this. And then you just, once you get the key on there, then you just start turning it back. And we're going to go ahead and add our corned beef into there. Once we get this open. I just love the smell of corned beef. I just love it. My husband's not that crazy about the flavor of it. I don't like a corned beef sandwich. But I love this corned beef and potatoes. Look at there. Not all the time does that work, but it did this time. So we're going to pop that off there. And I'm going to just try to let that squeeze out. Into there. It's holding your tongue just right to get it out. Let me get a knife and we'll just kind of go around the edges. And I like to drop it in there in big chunks and let it cook down into smaller chunks. That way, sometimes you get a big chunk, sometimes you get a little chunk. It's just really delicious. Let's add that on there. Get every drop of that out of there. Now your corned beef is in there. And it's not going to be long till we're going to have some supper. Now, my grandmother would have served this probably with some cornbread. But we're trying to do things a little bit better around here. So I'm probably going to have it with a piece of whole wheat toast, 42 calorie whole wheat Sara Lee toast, all grain. Maybe a couple of pieces of toast. And we're going to have this for supper. Look at that. Don't that look delicious? Like I said, you can change this out for cabbage. And it would be a low-carb dish. It would be a low-carb dish. Sure would. But I didn't have cabbage, and I wanted to make my grandma's recipe. So, we're going to put a lid on this, and we're going to let it simmer for about 15 minutes. And it should be ready to eat. So, I'll be back in 15 minutes. We got the time wrong. I'll see you back in 15 minutes. We'll dish this up. There it goes. Okay, guys. Let's take the lid off of here and let's see what we've got. Oh my goodness. Look how good that looks. Look how delicious that looks. I think the potatoes are all cooked. Oh goodness, yes. Like I said, my grandmother would not have left the skins on there. She would have peeled them all down, but I enjoy the skins, so I leave those in. That's the one thing about an old recipe. You can change it and make it something that you love. You can make it just delicious. I think I'm going to, I was going to have to use it on a platter. I don't think I'm going to use my nice big pasta bowls for this. I've got some toast in the toaster. And I'm going to get me a good old soup ladle here. And let's just kind of look at this and see what we got in here. Oh, it is good, and it is buttery, and it is meaty, and it's delicious. And like I said, you can cook this for a large family, or you can cook it for a small family. So, this was made with 2 large potatoes, 1 medium onion, 4 cups of milk, probably about a stick of butter, and 1 can of the corned beef. And that is just absolutely delicious. And that's going to be, it's supposed to be cold, getting cold tonight. We're supposed to be, well, we're going to have a good day tomorrow. But here we are in March, and we're going to have a snowstorm tomorrow night here in Corning, Arkansas. But we're going to take it up. We're going to serve this up in a platter here. There we go. Don't that look delicious? That look delicious. And then what we're going to have on the side, we're going to have us a couple of slices of some Sara Lee low-calorie bread. Oh my goodness. Don't that look delicious? Let me get me a spoon over here. I'm going to add a little bit more pepper on mine, because I think it looks good. You could add some cheese on this. You could add some bacon. You could add some chives, some green onion, all of that good stuff. But we're going to have it just like this. So let me turn you guys up. Now this stuff's going to be hotter. What I always say, this stuff's going to be hotter than a firecracker. And it really is. So let me get up here and kind of show you this again. My grandma's dish that was taught to her by her grandmother, Annie Eliza. And don't forget to go check out those good channels, Pam's Cutting Board and Southern Tennessee Mom. And you will not be disappointed. Now, I have made friends with Pam, and she's a wonderful lady. And her husband, Wayne, is on there with her, and he reads the Word, brings the Word sometimes, but he's a taste tester too. So they kind of do that channel together, and they're just a wonderful Christian couple, and the other channel is just fabulous too. So anyway, this is my contribution to ye old St. Patties Day. I will put my hat on, and we're gonna taste some. We're gonna taste some of this stuff. It's gonna be good. So we're gonna blow it first. We sure is. And like I said, if you want to do it low carb, you can add cabbage in it. My grandma would make it that way too, but this was my favorite. Or hot. Oh my goodness. My grandma done walked up in this kitchen and cooked this. And that broth tastes so good. That's just so delicious, y'all. You got to try this. I hope you guys enjoyed this collaboration, St. Patties Day Collaboration. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. I'm going to be coming up and over the weekend and or on Monday. I'm going to film it over the weekend. And I'm going to do a smoothie recipe in my new smoothie blender that I got from my Real Appeal. So, I love you guys. Until next time, I'm praying for you. And my name is Grammie Nae Nae. Good night. Top of the morning to you.